Okay, so we're starting, and we're live. Sue Cawthorne back for the third time. We're going to be talking awakening awareness from Wales and at DC, where I am. So, Sue, what brings you to Wales? You talked about a pilgrimage.
Well, I'm kind of, my whole journey in my life has been basically having this experience as a child of knowing that everything was one. And then I explored it in as many different religions and walks, philosophies, and, everything that I could, and had a look how they saw it. So it interests me, I can be, in Egypt a couple of years ago on a kind of journey there, sacred places. Then I can be like at a Tibetan Buddhist monastery for a month. I'm eclectic. I like to, and what I always am shocked, well, not shocked, but it's that everyone is actually speaking the same language. We're all talking the same talk, but we just have, I call it like the same sweet with different wrappers. It's like a box of chocolates and they're all the same. They're going to be all, strawberry cream or fudge or something.
Crunchy frog.
But they have different wrappers, but it's the same sweet. And that's like always been something. So, and I think at different times, we feel drawn to different aspects within our own journey and our own spiritual inner world. And I just felt very drawn to Pembrokeshire, having heard a lot about it over the years, but haven't visited. I actually did a retreat, led a retreat here many years ago. And it was more of a mindfulness type of retreat. But I'd heard that there were like 9 saints that had kind of established like it's Christianity in the area. Saint David. And I'm actually staying on Saint Bridie's Bay, who came from Ireland, in the 6th century with Saint Columba and Saint Patrick and all of, those gems. And was lucky enough to find a place just on St. Bridie's Bay and visited the bay yesterday, and I just felt so moved. It had beautiful streams like kind of coming into the ocean and a lovely bay which was just like heaven. It was just the energy was so gentle and a kind of like coming home type feeling, even though I'd never been here before, it felt like home. So I think we all, have those special spots, and I'm lucky that I experienced one of those yesterday and, have a few more weeks to explore the area. So.
And while you were walking by the sea yesterday, you mentioned you started thinking about awakening and awareness.
I did, because I was thinking about like how I kind of can lean into any kind of philosophy or path like Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity. It doesn't have a division for me at all. It doesn't have these divides and categories. It's just a different expression of the same truth.
The perennial philosophy, I think, all
exactly
called, right?
The universal truth.
Yeah.
I've
certainly have wandered around in these fields for a while too, and the awakening and the awareness too. And you mentioned shock a little bit too. Could you like to go back to that word shock? I think that you had.
Which was that? What was I mentioning about shock? Sorry.
I think that you found yourself shocked. I guess by the feeling that you had been there before, maybe.
Yeah. I think that sometimes like the word shock maybe is a bit clumsy. Maybe it's almost like a remembering of something you don't know you're remembering. Like, you have those feelings and it's like a deja vu, or a person that you meet or it can be a fleeting moment on a bus through the window, or crossing the road, or going in a shop, and suddenly you have this kind of window, this flash of, I've done this before, or I've said this, or I've met this person, or it's this kind of overwhelming remembrance of, this isn't the first time this has happened. you know.
I know.
It's, and you
It's
get
like
chills. You get this. It was more of a, not a shock, but chills. When you
or a
get
feeling.
those kind of, and you can't explain why you get that. It's almost like your etheric body knows something that your senses and your perception doesn't know, but maybe it's an intuition. I like that intuition.
Yeah, I get the feeling of almost like a sense of vertigo when it happens, that I've got
Yeah,
this little, like,
slightly
wave
dizzy.
passing through me,
Waves. Yeah,
and that sort
yeah.
of, and Gurdjieff talks about this a lot, that we need to be
Yes.
shocked. We need to shock ourselves into
Yeah.
awareness. We need to do things that will sort of make us more aware of ourselves, more awake, because he says
Hmm.
we're pretty much automatons most of the time, going through robotically the same pattern
Automatic.
without
Automatic.
really being present, without being awake.
Mm-hmm.
And he would sit in silence in front of his audience sometimes for a long time, and then finally just yell at them, "Wake up!" Which I like. It's sort of like, and just novel ideas that could be presented too. I think you and I both are following Mayor Baba, and Mayor Baba
Hmm.
may be following you, apparently. I love that story about how the automatic writing came.
Hmm.
Had
Hmm.
to write, and then it signed this
Yeah.
e-sign.
Sometimes it was just M. Baba.
Yeah, and that's just
Or
so shocking.
MB. Later on, it became MB. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you knew where your intuition was coming from. It's flowing through you from
Hmm.
a field, if you will. I don't know. I just know
Well,
how.
I always knew when he was coming. I could be in the most mundane situation, like washing up, or you know, rushing to work, or anything, but I'd get this frequency. It was like a higher frequency would kind of just like rain pouring over me, like the rain, suddenly you can't control it, it's just falling, and you're aware of the wetness and the coldness. It was like that with Baba, where I experienced like a wave of, I can only call it bliss. It was like ecstatic bliss, but not, I could integrate it into whatever I was doing, but I knew that I probably had to like find an excuse to go to the loo just to be on my own, or go somewhere else for a minute. And then I would get the paper and then just start writing. And then it all made sense. But it took me a while in the early days, because I thought I was like I was on drugs. I was like, I haven't taken anything. I didn't never really took any drugs, because I didn't think I needed them, to be honest. Was already. So I kind of found that in the beginning I just thought I was having a high, and then it was a bit too high for me, like really ecstatic. And this feeling of like merging into everything. There was no like one individual, and that no separation between anything, like a sea of experience. There was no, I wasn't even watching myself. I was just, and then I remember thinking that all the descriptions of awareness and all the writings and all the religions, when I was experiencing being in it, all of that was not there. There were no words, no poetry, no, amazing kind of quotes or mystical teachings. It had all gone. And it was empty, just completely empty, but vibrant in a way. Like I used to say, I feel like when Baba comes through, I could light up every power station in the world. It was, it was like I could light up every electric bulb not me, but what was coming through him connecting with him, the power and energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember once he said to me, every single person in the world has this power.
That's the important
That's
thing.
what we are.
Important message.
This is what we are. And we have become like little excuses of who we are, Like we have forgotten so much our magnificence and we are the universe.
Yeah, one of the things
And he lived that. And I know why he stopped talking, because I think he just felt that he couldn't convey with words what he knew. The words had gone.
No, there's no need for words, actually. The
Mm,
presence was
mhm,
enough, I
mhm,
think.
mhm.
And we are talking about the infinite streaming through us. So it's no wonder you feel the
Exactly.
instant power, the infinite
Mhm.
power, infinite
That's
bliss,
it.
infinite
That's it.
everything, infinite knowledge, I think, too. That sort of field of, um,
Understanding,
yeah.
wisdom. Yeah.
And this reminds me of Napoleon Hill and his experiences that he wrote about whether you take him
Mhm.
seriously or not and
I've
whether
read
you
a
take
bit of
any of this
his.
seriously or not.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter. It's sort of the divine joke, the cosmic gig.
Mhm.
So I'm riffing off of a number of different sages, and when I say these things, Bruno Batati has put in something into the chat, so I'm going to read that to let his participation enter into this conversation. I relate these epiphanies or deja vus to our sudden recall of past lives. It happens to me so often I've learned to watch it as a movie, and he is a producer of movies, so that's appropriate. Not being overwhelmed by it is also not ignoring the wondrous repetition of the feeling, wondering how old a soul I am. And then he goes on concerning 6th century saints. He resonates historically with the problem of the Justinian plague at the time, which forced the
Mhm.
church into extreme orthodoxy. Rings a bell with COVID. We are desperate for some orthodoxy to organize all the half truths and conspiracy theories with the risk of choosing wrong orthodoxies. Well, that's certainly the orthodoxies I'm witnessing in my country are quite
Oh God. Mhm.
present. In fact, yesterday we had a IndyCar race right here in Washington D.C. I didn't see
Yeah.
it at all. I was working at Daily Provisions, where I'm behind the counter, trying to stay awake and aware and present. And I find that practice is really interesting because I'm looking constantly for any little smudge, any little indication of imperfection in the space, because I want it to be so nice
Being
that people want to
conscious.
come and
Yeah.
stay and eat and set up their little laptops and work or whatever and be part of the whole
Yeah.
dynamic that we
Mhm.
all are together. And one thing you talked about the a frequency that you
Mhm.
felt coming on. I
Mhm.
like that word because it reminds me of the one note, right? Are you
Yeah.
familiar with Pure and Easy, the song by Pete Townsend where he talks about once there was a note, pure and easy?
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all of that is about Mayor Baba and
Mhm.
his impact on Pete's consciousness as he was coming through the 60s. And, Ronnie Lane as well. We talked about him being influenced. I've got to get out The Passing Show, which is a life and times of Ronnie Lane, where he was doing around in a caravan, like a little gypsy caravan with his band playing around England. And it was a circus.
Oh
So
wow.
this is all a circus in some ways. I remember there's a
Exactly.
line in my favorite band, one of my favorite bands, King Crimson here.
Oh wow. Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
that is, you have to see the world for what it is, a circus full of freaks and clowns. It'll never please everyone. It's a well-established fact. And then they say, I recommend a fifth of Jack and a bottle of Prozac, which I do not recommend necessarily. Because there are a lot of us who are using Prozac to sort of detune, I think, ourselves. So we're not so anxious and keyed up all the time when really that awakeness and awareness, that shock, that feeling of like, oh, is not necessarily something to fear and to
Yeah.
react to. It's something
No.
to embrace and flow with. What do
It's
you
a
think?
wake up. Yeah. It's a wake up. It's like I mean, the thing is, after I had been to the bay,
Yeah.
um, well, I was with my partner, and he said, "Why don't we walk back to where we're staying
Uh-huh.
along the coastal path?" Well, I've always had a fear of heights, but it hasn't stopped me from flying and going up mountains. But it's like one of my burdens in life is fear of heights. And I thought, you know what? I think I'm going to do this.
Okay.
It doesn't look too bad.
Mm-hmm.
And as
How
we
was
got further along, it got closer to the edge of the cliff, and the cliffs got steeper and more dramatic. And there was no fence or anything. He was literally, and the floor, the ground was full of rocks that would, trip you up and everything. And if you went the wrong, you'd just be dead.
Yep.
And there's a sign saying, cliffs kill. Stay on the path. And I was like, okay, thank you. And I could feel all this like cortisol rushing around my body.
Sure.
I don't know why, but I've always been terrified of heights. And I just started to do mindful walking, like just being present as I walked along, and just be, walkie talk, man. You've got to walkie talk now, and just get through this. And then it got to the edge, right on the massive, like hundreds of, straight down into the ocean. And then I turned a corner, and it was going down a slope, down a steep slide with rocks on. And I just was like, okay, just walk even more consciously. God. And then I began to kind of like laugh at my situation, and it was like I said, "Thank you, God. This is a blessing to actually have the opportunity after having this shock wake up at Bridie's Bay, and then I'm walking along, confronting one of my worst fears, and I felt so empowered when I got back. I felt really alive. It was kind of." Well, I didn't think I could do that, but I did. I think it's really important to do things that you're afraid of and things that take you outside of your comfort zone, because that's where unconsciousness lives. It's like, I think routine and keeping like it steady and being grounded, that's very important. Looking after your body, eating good food, it's being conscious of, it's not being separate from the body. I mean, we are not just our body, but we are our body as well. So it's like not to identify with the body alone or the mind alone, but to actually encompass that and be conscious with it. It is a divine temple, as everything else is. We're all one. Everything, there's no split between awareness and being aware in the body. It's all the same. That's what I really saw when Baba blessed me with his presence. It was this inclusiveness of everything.
That's right. It's all one.
You can't say that isn't as divine as like that chair, or you cannot compare. It's all the same thing, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah.
All living consciousness, as I think it was said in a song about Apasti Maharaj.
Oh, yeah.
Have you dug into Apasti Maharaj much?
No.
There's some good videos about him out there, and of course, he was the one who threw the stone that hit Baba exactly where Babajan kissed him, and it opened up a little blood. But
was this a lady, a woman?
It brought him back to ordinary consciousness, where Baba had been walking in this trance state almost, right, and living in that bliss state so much that he wasn't eating, he wasn't doing much of anything aside from existing in this state of bliss. And then that was right after Hazrat Babajan kissed him on the forehead, right, underneath the neem tree in Pune, India, if I remember the story correctly. And Apasti Maharaj himself had heard this singing in his soul and been driven to Sai Baba of Shirdi before he met Mayor Baba came along. So, these guys were all sort of enmeshed in each other. And, somebody who had been a fairly successful pharmacist suddenly becomes this guy who wanders about naked and sleeps in dustbins. It's just, people took him to be mad, he said, but how can you You know, you cannot attain godhood unless you become mad.
That's
I
right.
kind of
You've got
like
to
that.
let go. Yeah, let
I've
go.
had my own madnesses at times. Now, I want to read what Bruno's written since I don't want to neglect his participation. He's written 450 AD resonates with 2020 to 2021 for a plague. 560 AD resonates with 2026. Justinian ordered the closure of Athenian philosophical schools, even Plato's Academy, to center and control of the narrative and the church. Does that sound familiar? Yeah, kind of does. This explains a very interesting outcome of the turbulent period: the surgence of monasteries to keep the classical world knowledge from the barbarism of the Middle Ages.
Mm.
Well represented on the book and movie The Name of the Rose. That's Umberto Eco, I believe.
Yes.
Should
Yeah.
we be heading to build digital monasteries to save the knowledge for 1960? That's what Substack is, by the way. It
Mm.
is a digital
Mm. Mm.
monastery for me.
It is,
This
isn't it?
is
Yeah. Mm.
this is the
No, it's
soil
hard.
where Neoplatonism grew, and Sue reminds me a lot of the Neoplatonic statements and the figure of Is it Plotinus or Plotinus? Plotinus, I think. Do you know much about Plotinus? I don't, not off the top. But I think he
No.
had a lot to do with in the Neoplatonism about the non-duality of things, how
Okay.
everything is one, how
Mm-hmm.
light has its shadow, shadow has its light. You can't have one without the other, right?
No. No.
And another thing that sprung to mind is The Ecstasy of Being. Are you familiar with that book? It's by
No.
Joseph Campbell, and it's about the mythology and dance. His wife was a great choreographer and dancer, so that was near and dear to his heart, I think. And they've recently published this collection from the Joseph Campbell Foundation.
Oh, Joseph
And
Campbell. Yes, I've seen. Yes, I have.
so the
I
ecstasy of
was
being has
familiar.
a lot
Yeah.
to
Mm-hmm.
do with movement and dance. Just like walking
Yes.
on the cliff face, you have to be really conscious of
Yes.
where your feet are. You've got to
Yeah.
hit your
Mm-hmm.
marks. If you miss that
That's it.
mark, the penalty is severe.
It's the end of the story, man. Yeah.
Well, maybe the end of the story, the end of this incarnation,
Mm,
perhaps.
mm, mm.
Right? And do
Yes.
you feel like the past lives have actually hit you as well? Do you think you have access to them? Or do you feel
Um, I had a well. I don't know if I told you, but I did have a retreat like
Mhm.
of my like myself, which lasted between like about 3.5 years. And during that time, I was given a house, and I stayed in the house for
Uh-huh.
3.5 years with one other person who made sure I was okay. They didn't speak to me for 3.5 years, so I actually didn't speak to anyone for 3.5 years, and it was quite young to have that sort of experience. And and during that time, I didn't really. This is the whole thing. Is that I didn't. I thought I was going to learn things, and I was given guidance. This was before Baba. I'd never heard of Baba at this point, and I was given guidance that I had to go. It's a go to the listen to the voice within, the one who knows, and no other voices. That's it. Just listen to your inner voice and go to a quiet place. And I just felt like it was a natural thing to do. And I had everything at that time in the physical world. I had like everything was successful. I had, everything was going really well. And people said, "Well, what more do you want?" And I said, "Well, I don't want any of it really." It's like almost like I'd let go of. I said, "Well, this isn't it. This success and everything that I'm being given now at an early age, it actually doesn't give me anything. I don't want it." And so I decided then to look within, and it was quite shocking for my family. And it was during that retreat that I had. It was almost like a movie flicking, like a slides,
Mhm.
on a kind of screen, and it just flicked one after the other, different lives. And it was about 11 lives, and in every one of those lives, I'd been a man. So this is my first life as a woman for quite a while.
I see. That's very interesting.
Isn't it interesting? And I
Yeah.
was a monk. I was like in a cave or meditating, and I remember one when I was a Tibetan sort of monk, and I had the most amazing psychic vision, and I was sitting there and I could see like people's auras down the street, and I could see energy. It was like amazing. So each life, it was like focusing on a particular aspect of like the inner world, and then I thought, well, now I've been chucked into this lifetime as a woman, not in a monastery. This is going to be a challenge. And I did speak to, that's why I actually did speak to Tibetan lamas and Christian monks in monasteries and that, and said, I think I should come and stay here for a bit. And they wouldn't have me. They said, no, we're not having any woman in it. God. And they said, you can stay in a tent in the grounds if you want. I said, great, thanks. But they didn't really want a woman coming into this all kind of male thing, really. So I said, fine, okay, so I'll just do it on my own then. So that was fine, I just like sort of have to do it. The person I did have contact with is a lady called Tenzin Palmo. I don't know if you've heard of her.
Tenzin Palmo.
Palmo. She did she wrote a book called Cave in the Snow.
Cave in the Snow. I don't know that one off.
She was an English woman who went on a retreat in Tibet in a cave for 11 years.
I'm spelling it out. Is it Palmo?
Yeah, Palmo. Tenzin Palmo.
There you go. I wrote it into the chat, so anybody who's interested could look it up.
Yeah. And I actually, after the retreat, was in touch with her, and she was very supportive. And she said, well done. That takes a lot of courage to go on a retreat on your own in the West. She said, I did it in Tibet and I had support like from monks. But, hers was later than mine. So it was like, no, hers was earlier than mine, sorry. But she lived there for 11 years in a cave and just had rice and dal and just made food and sat in the cave for 11 years. And she has now started a women's only retreat centre in Dharamsala. Yeah. And she said to me, you must share with people about your retreat, because I said I feel very embarrassed about it because it didn't fit in with like the society I lived in, or it didn't fit into going to Tibet. It was like a independent retreat, if you know what I mean, on my own terms. So I felt a bit, I didn't fit into any of the boxes. But she said, no, she said, you must actually share what you experienced on that retreat. But I haven't really done it yet. So she wrote me a lovely letter and had it hand delivered to me. She was amazing. Yeah, she said, it's great that you had the courage. And she said, it's great that more and more people in the West are now going on retreats. Not in Tibetan monasteries or Christian, but, individual people, offering retreats. She thought that was really good.
This is reminding me of a retreat that a number of my friends took in 2015 to Soldiers Field in Chicago.
Yes.
Yeah. What they were doing was they were celebrating the music of the Grateful Dead, its 50th anniversary. And for 3 nights, July 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I believe, they all got together. And, over 300,000 people were there. And what Mickey Hart said at the end of that thing was so important. It is, take what you have here and do something with it. So in other words, the retreat is nice, but what's really going to make it matter is if you take that spirit and live your retreat out in the world. This is the fourth way, right? The idea of living your life and doing that work and being, and Baba said this too, being in the world, but not of it. So you have this
Yeah,
inner,
that was lovely, that post the other day. Yes, I thought that was great.
yeah,
Mm, mm,
that's the key. That's an inner immigration, so to speak, from being so caught up in the surface of things. And again,
mm.
Harrowings just scratches the surface. But being caught up in that, that's all I really see, but actually being able to step back from all of that, watch it as a passing show, have a degree of equanimity about it, and then take mindful action, being where your feet are on that cliff and realizing you're always on that cliff. You're always 2 minutes away from death if
Yeah,
you stop breathing.
yeah, yeah.
So you can have an ecstasy of being in the
Mm.
just that sheer awareness of how miraculous it is that you're maintaining homeostasis, right, in the body.
Mm.
I've yet to see mind separate from body, so I've got that feeling of unity of the two things, and that the body basically is a manifestation of the mind, and the
Yeah,
world is an
yeah,
outpicturing of our
yeah.
inner mental state.
Yep.
How we see things is not necessarily so either. Right?
No,
Or the
no.
picture that meets the eye, I think was the
No,
line.
it's just seen through the particular little crack in the cave that we're peering through at that time, isn't it? And that it's like a kaleidoscope changing constantly. Yeah.
That idea of being able to see the auras of the people down the street you mentioned to this
Oh
particular
God.
incarnation you had, right?
Mm,
That was very interesting to me. Do you see auras these days?
yeah, I do. That came through.
I see
Yeah,
them too.
that was. I was known as a child and young person as cosmic Sue or psychic Sue. like, so yeah, I mean, I think as I said, it made me very popular with people for winning money, on the horses and the lottery, and I thought there's got to be a higher purpose than this, to. But I think I've used my seeing for healing purposes, or helping people to understand what's going on in their field, and kind of help them with that, really support them to shift things.
Yeah, shift things.
Yeah, I mean, I had a, like, if I'm like, sometimes it happens and I'm not actually officially doing anything. I'm not like doing a session, or I can be on the bus or walking down the street, or, I used to work a lot in herbal medicine, and
Mm.
I'm also trained in Tibetan medicine as well. So I kind of very have a side of me that's very interested in the healing, and I think frequency has a lot to do with illness and what people are carrying in their minds and in their emotional body. So that all keeps people down and not able to really connect with their true consciousness.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm.
And you mentioned the healing. It's funny, I wrote this morning and linked into it a little tune called The Healing by Ghostlight. You know what a ghostlight is, by the way?
No.
In the theater, in order to keep people from falling into the orchestra pit and things like that, or the little conductor's pit. Have you ever seen Charade, the movie with Audrey Hepburn and, um,
Mhm.
gosh, now I'm forgetting the male lead, and how can I Cary Grant.
Mm.
The two of them basically have a situation. Walter Matthau is trying to kill them, and they have him on a stage, and there are little traps in the stage too that drop him down, and that's how I'm spoiling the movie now, but you should see it. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
the the 1950s, sometime Henry Mancini does the score, but the ghost light is hung in a empty theater over the stage to allow people to see what hazards there are on the stage,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
And it's the thing that's glowing even when all of the actors are not there. And the empty stage is there, and any possibility could emerge there on the stage at any given time, right? Is my thought as a ghost light is hanging there and nobody's in the theater to watch it. Is it really there if nobody's seeing it?
Yeah, if
I
nobody
don't
can
know.
see it.
But anyway,
Mm.
this band called itself Ghostlight, and it did this tune
Mm.
called The Healing and did a little video with it, which is kind of an interesting psychological thing to me. Um, and it spans the whole life of. And the line is from baby's breath to the rattle of death and all the magic that lies in between. And I
Oh.
like that line very much about it. And the healing that you're
Mm.
going through as you move from dawn to dusk, because we incur a lot of injuries along the way unbidden. And God knows that people suffer out here.
Mm.
So that's a big part of what we're trying to do also, I think, through our practice is to
Mhm.
mitigate people's suffering or at least give it meaning.
Yeah.
Because a person can stand anyhow so long as they have a sufficient why.
Yeah.
A line from Viktor Frankl, right? From his
Yeah.
logotherapy, in which
Mhm.
he's talking about, man's search for meaning, how he got through the
Yeah.
concentration camp.
Auschwitz. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
Was it Auschwitz he was in? Yeah.
I think he was in Auschwitz, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Mm.
one of those horrible places, and
Mm.
survived it to write logotherapy and to practice it as in the search for meaning in our lives. And I see we got some more things coming in here. Bruno would like you to transmit healing frequency at a distance, or do you need a person or patient presently in front of you?
Distant is fine.
Distance Reiki. I've had my friend Odette practice that on my father when he was dying, or in the process of getting worse and
Right.
worse until he
Mhm.
died. We didn't know
Yeah.
he was dying until he was actually like
Close.
down, and
Right.
there
Mm.
was no getting to him either because his body had blocked the bathroom door. And
Oh.
so,
Mm.
but when they got to him, he was actually still going, but barely, and was never regained consciousness. But that was kind of lucky. It was only a day. My mother's
Yeah.
now through the process. I visited her last weekend of not being communicative much, though she was a little communicative. She's noticed that my wife and I were wearing the same name tag. Both of them said Hal Gill on them, and she kept going one to the other saying Hal Gill, Hal Gill, and she was used to this. But that was about as much as was going on. So watching those things happen to us as we go from dawn to dusk and cradle to grave and baby's breath to rattle of death, if you prefer, it's kind of daunting because nobody really knows what happens
No.
entirely. And we have sensations about it. We have our stories about it. But when it comes down to it, one of the facts of life is nobody really knows what happens when you die. Um,
Well,
and
I can maybe talk to you about that as well.
we can, yeah, let's do it. I got a few minutes.
Okay, one of the, I suppose, gifts also that I have is actually, for some unknown reason, is communicating with dead people.
All right.
And
Well, I love that.
it's not something I tried to do.
It just happens.
It happened from the age of 3 or 2, I think.
So you got a sixth sense.
I was in my cot. That's how young I was,
Yeah.
and my mum could hear me speaking. And she said, "Are you not asleep yet?" And I was actually standing up, just like probably just about able to walk, and I was holding my toys, laughing, talking to people. And she said, "Who are you talking to?" And I said, "Auntie Mary, Auntie Susie," and rhymed off 4 of my grandfather's sisters. And I could hardly speak, but I knew their names, and I'd never met them, and I'd never been told they existed. But I saw them as clear as the normal people.
And they
And my
knew that
mum
they
said,
were
yeah,
aunties. So
they were there. Yeah. And I could
I
see
love
their
that.
clothes, what they're wearing, everything.
How's it happen now? Does it happen much now?
Oh yes, but as I said, I didn't pursue. I was, at an early age, say about 16, I went to a medium circle, and the first night I went, I channeled 2 people and spoke. I'm what they call a trance medium, so I actually spoke in the voice of the person.
Without knowing them.
No.
Ah, fantastic. We also have another
So
thing I
there
want to
you go.
read from the
I mean,
comments.
that's just not something I've pursued or interfered with my spiritual journey, but it's just, I'd call it a siddhi or something, or a gift or something. But I don't
Good.
chase it. It's just there, and it only comes through when it wants to.
That's interesting. Yeah,
It is.
there's another comment
And
here.
I don't
I
charge
find
any money for it either. So it's not something I ever wanted people to pay any money for, because
right.
it's a gift, and
Yeah, I love that
it's a
about you.
higher power than me. So it just.
The other comment is I find people are too quick to attribute inhuman or external influence, angels, demons, etc., and insofar abdicate their own responsibility for their actions. What do you think about the influence of the external on daily living? I'll let you answer that one.
Sorry, there was quite a lot of information. I'm not quite sure.
Well,
Like,
I think that the idea is that we're too quick to try to say, hey, the devil made me do it.
mm,
However, we have personal responsibility for our actions. And here he's asking, or she, Rune Knight
mhm.
3, whoever that is asking, what do you think about the influence of the external influences on our daily living?
Well,
Do you think we're
I think
steered by spirits?
it's more, to be honest, to do with human beings. Those are my most, the people I fear the most. Not fear the most, but like
They're most influential.
I have been the recipient of dark magic. Put it that way. I have had magic done for whatever reason. I don't know, like what, usually to try and sort of manipulate me or something. When I was younger, I kept like feeling that a certain energy was around me, and I couldn't understand it. And then I was guided to look in a cupboard and found a voodoo doll with my name written on it.
All right. How
Yeah.
about that? When did this happen?
Yeah. But this was, I was very young when that happened, before my retreat.
Ah,
And a few times, it's like I just pick things up. Once somebody said to me, "You've got to come and meet these gurus. They're very special, very important. They have superpowers and all of this. You must come to a meditation." And I went to the meditation and came out feeling terrible. And all night I had dreams that this was not a good person at all. I confronted the guy who was actually my dentist at the time, and I said, "This guy, do not trust him. There's something wrong." So
yeah.
it's like we're aware. I mean, if you're conscious, like both times I was conscious of this dark force. This guy did turn out in the end to be a complete fraud, by the way. But I think the more conscious you are, the more awake you are. You're conscious of these things, and you're not going to be pulled in by them. So I think it's wake up, and wake up all the time. It's like
That's it. Wake up.
you cannot afford to be asleep, especially today.
That's right. I think that this is true of all of us. We need to trust our intuitions because we can
Yes,
pick up a lot. There's a lot
yes.
communicated that is
Here,
verbal.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
when I smile, it's communicating something about my inner state. Now, it might be that I find it all very preposterous what we're talking about, but I don't. I don't. I'm a skeptic by heart, so I'm always listening to these things. I want to believe, at some level, but I
Mhm.
have a difficulty with belief because I'm so aware that everything is illusion at some level or another. And I think Baba gives us that awareness that don't worry, be happy because this is all sort of a play. But that can also lead, as we were talking about the other day, to a feeling of lack of responsibility and
Yeah, it doesn't
lack
matter.
of
So, yeah,
a lack of ethical behavior,
yeah.
right? We want to be ethical. We want to be
And empathy
virtuous.
is another thing. Another empathy. I once saw a non-dual teacher completely destroy somebody who was going through a very deep grief, and they said to them, "You are not your emotions." And I was, oh God, and I was like, "Oh God, they are."
I'm
So I think
running
we've
up
got.
against my deadline. I've got to take my wife into work,
Okay,
but we'll
well,
have to
lovely
continue
to
our
speak to you.
conversation.
Yeah,
Now, you mentioned, I want to clear this up a little bit. You mentioned that August 27th, you might have some availability also, or
yeah, sure, yeah,
I think we've opened up a lot of things that could be
yes,
expanded. I don't
mm.
know my availability on August 27th yet. My schedule hasn't come out. I work down at Daily Provisions at a cafe, so I need to be there when I'm supposed to be there. I left an hour early the other day. The manager let me go, not realizing that I was making a mistake about my off hour. But I worked an extra hour yesterday, so that was good. And change. We have some comments too. One of them at the bottom is Farid Al Safar says, "Lovely to see you, our beautiful Sue." I thought that was nice. I want to read Bruno Batati's last comments too before I go. There are not only demons and angels, also lost souls, as in, quote, fragments of dead personality, unquote, who roam through the material plane in search of a meaning to their sudden death. They influence us with a certain desperation. They want help, and we are not always ready to give it, overwhelmed by our own problems. And then Bruno Batati says, I am constantly hounded by young men who died of AIDS in 1981 to 1995. I have sudden epiphanies of their lives. I have no
sorry,
way
we got
to know. And I was alive when they died, and they are not my past lives. And hello, Kitty. What's the kitty's name?
This is Rudy.
Rudy?
Rudy.
Got it.
Yeah.
Hey, hi, Rudy. There you go. Tortoiseshell. I used to have a tortie.
It's gone now.
My tortie was named Cassandra because I have the gift of true prophecy no one believes. So Cassandra was near and dear to my heart. So Catzandra became her name.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Catzandra. She lived 19 years. And the very day she passed, Patti Smith was performing at the Anthem here in D.C., so I went and saw that. And a week later, her cat, 21 years old, Cairo, passed away. Oh, wow. I have somewhere around here, Patti Smith's Book of Days, and Cairo figures on the back cover. Her Book of Days, by the way, is worth price of admission. It's a little snapshot she's done with little comments she's made about on each day. It's kind of a meditation on what was important to her for that day or something. Anyway, we're going to wrap up. Last words, Sue. What do you want to take away for this?
I was just thinking about the comments and about the souls and everything. To be honest, when, sometimes I think I should talk about what I saw on my retreat, really, because there were so many dimensions that we don't see. And that's one of the things I saw, was like how many different worlds and dimensions exist but are not known by most people in this physical dimension. So,
well, that sounds like a great topic for our next talk.
Oh, yes. Well, I can see Tenzin Palmo going, good. I told you. He's feeling safe enough, It's feeling safe enough, to do it, really,
These can be three-way conversations. So if you have another guest you think might be a good one to have with us, I'd be open to that. One of the things we're doing, Bruno Batati has been on here, and Everyday Junglist out in Tijuana. The three of us are getting on.
Yes.
I think our next one will be Thursday, but I've got to check the calendar.
Okay.
So we've been doing them every Thursday, and it's kind of interesting. We explore different, things. Last time we discussed aliens and whether aliens exist or not. My feeling is they do not, that we are the sole consciousness on this planet or this cosmos, and that therefore we're very special that way. And we need to sort of take care of each other and ourselves and play to our strong points and stop, wasting time on wars.
Yes. Yes, this is the thing. There's so much potential.
Well, I hope others have been inspired by our talk. It'll be out there on YouTube. It'll be out there in Sue's feed, I expect, and mine. And I'm going to wrap it up here. Thanks again, Sue. I really appreciate you taking time for your time in Wales.
Okay, and be in touch. Okay.
Yeah, be very careful and watch your step.
Yeah. Take care now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.